welcome everybody. My name is Dave Bailey. I want to thank you for joining us. This is Grief and Grace. This Facebook Live was created to be a space where we could have conversations about all of the different faces of grief and help to process a little bit of that common human experience. My guest tonight is Michelle Neff Hernandez, who is the founder and executive director of Soaring Spirits International, which is a nonprofit organization providing research-based programs and a community of peers for anyone who has experienced the death of a spouse or partner. And Michelle has an amazing story of personal loss and finding purpose in the middle of it all. I know you'll be inspired by her and introduced to ideas and insights and resources that you'll find invaluable. And just so you know, Michelle has another show to do right after this one, so we have 30 minutes that we're going to try to maximize, and then she'll be back next Monday for part 2. If you know someone that you think could benefit from what we're talking about tonight, why don't you go ahead and tag them in the comments so that they get a notification and they can come and join us. And also, if you have a question, just put it in the comments. We'll answer as many of those as we can, probably during next week's show. All right. Welcome, Michelle. I'm honored to have you here with us today. Yeah, it's so good.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Listen, why don't we start right off the hop? Start by telling us a little bit of your story.
I'm happy to share my late husband, Philip Hernandez, with all of you. So I was, living my best life. I had 3 kids at home. I had 3 stepkids. A beautiful husband who I had been married to for 5 years. We were the athletic type, so we would run and ride and hike and do all kinds of adventurous things together. And as he was heading out for one of his bike rides, on which I did not accompany him, he was hit by a car from behind and killed. He died within the hour after the accident. So he was 39, I was 35, and the word widow never entered my brain. I never thought about the experience of widowhood. The only people I knew who were widowed were my grandmother and my great aunt, and they were both dead by this time. So, my only frame of reference for widowed life was what I saw of, the people in my life who had been widowed, and they were no longer available to ask any questions of. So I found myself suddenly widowed at the age of 35 with 6 kids and a grieving community. We were, a small, close-knit community in Valley, California. Phil was a track coach, so he had a huge community of kids who he mentored and ran with. So it kind of rocked all of our worlds, starting with mine and our kids and our families, and extending all the way out into the local community. So it turned my life upside down, and suddenly I had to figure out how to do the widow thing. And that was really the way I thought of it. How do you do this? I don't have any idea how I am supposed to be a widowed person. And I'm sort of a type A type. I will share that with all of you. And so I wanted a list. Could somebody please give me a list so I could start checking off all of the things that you're supposed to do if you're widowed? Starting with planning a funeral. I was when they asked me after Phil's death what funeral home would I like them to take him to, I was like, what? Is there even a funeral home in Simi Valley? No frame of reference at all for what we were walking into. So that's the beginning. That's what brought me into the experience of widowhood and trying to figure out what was next.
Wow. Now, one of the wonders for me is that you found purpose in the middle of your grief, and you began to tangibly create something that honored your love, your loss, your grief, but also your future. So let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about, the transition you went through, and then take us up into Soaring Spirits and Camp Widow, and we're going to focus a lot on that tonight. And so, yeah, just...
So wake up and I find myself in a completely unknown world. And the first thing, I just kept having all these questions, like, what am I supposed to do with his shoes? This man had more shoes than I did, times 2, and they were everywhere, all over. But every time I picked one up and moved them, I, felt like part of my heart was being torn out. And so I really just wanted to talk to other people, like, how is this normal? I didn't have any reference for what was normal. And so about 4 months into my widowhood, I thought, you know what, I just need to ask other widowed people. Maybe I'll write a book. I'm going to interview widowed people, and I'm going to find out how I'm supposed to do this. And so I set out to interview. I wrote down 50 questions. They included things like, what would I do with his shoes? How long would I wear my wedding ring? Do you sleep on the same side of the bed or in your bed at all? Did you wear black? I was obsessed with that question. Did someone wear black or did they not wear black? So these were just things like I wanted to check them all off. Am I doing this right? And so I just kind of threw it out there and said to my friends and family, like, I think I want to write a book. They all think I'm completely out of my brain because it's been 4 months since my husband died. And I want to just interview other widows. And so that journey took me across the country. I interviewed 30 widows over a 1-year period of time. I gave myself a year. I usually did 2 to 3 interviews a month. And then sometimes they would be clustered together, so I might do 4 or 5 over a weekend long.
And where did you find these people to interview?
They totally dropped out of the sky. Like, I just started saying it to people, and they're like, "Oh, I know a widow," or "I know a widow." So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the band Little Big Town, but Kimberly Schlattman is widowed, and my sister thought, oh, you should try to interview that lady. And so I ended up on the side of the stage on my birthday in December, standing on the edge of the stage, having been backstage with Kimberly, interviewing her about her widowed experience. So it was a wild, I was in Alaska kayaking. Anywhere I went that someone said, I know a widow, I basically said, hi, can I come and talk to you? And I'll tell you this, without exception, they said yes.
Wow.
Without exception, they wanted to be able to share with me what they learned from their widowhood. And what that developed in me was this sense of community and the power of having someone else understand you.
Yes.
We started and finished each other's sentences. These are people I'd never met. Literally, the only thing I knew we had in common was that we had both been widowed. And so they welcomed me into their homes. They shared everything that they could think of with me, and no topic was off limits. It was an incredible experience, totally unexpected. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. I just kept saying, if someone said, I know someone who's widowed, I'd say, would you be willing to share, my story with them and ask if I can interview them? Even to the point of, so I'm probably maybe halfway through my interview process, and I really was thinking, I wish I could interview someone who experienced a 9/11 death. I wonder, what's the difference?
Yes.
And having just had the anniversary, it feels like the right time to share this story. But then like all the interviews started getting kind of collecting, and I was talking to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And so one morning I am on the schedule to have an interview with a woman who lives about 2 hours from me. She confirmed but seemed hesitant, and I thought, okay, no pressure at all. And she just said, okay. She was connected to me through a friend, so I think she trusted her friend. So I go to her house and we sit down, and I said, so can you please tell me a little bit about how your husband died? And she looked at me and I thought, oh God, I did something bad. Like, I should have done my research. If I was a better interviewer, I would know what I was talking. And she was like, you don't know why? Or you don't know how my husband died? And I said, I'm so sorry. I don't know. And she said, that's not why you're here. And I was like, I'm thinking, oh, this is going very bad. This is going very badly. And it turned out her husband died in the plane that hit the Pentagon. And I had no idea. And because I had no idea, I think maybe for the first time, she was able to speak to being a widowed person instead of being a part of this huge tragic event. And in an event like that, what's so difficult, and even if we think about COVID right now, people who are experiencing COVID deaths, how many times a day do people say the words, COVID death? Like, how many people from COVID, the number of people through COVID, you start becoming just a collective, and it's very difficult to mourn your person, your one special person. And so what I was able to do with this other widow was provide that space to be able to talk about her one special person. And while we did discuss the bigger, broader experience and how that impacted her personally and how that impacted her widowhood, it changed the whole tone because I had no idea because I didn't do my research properly. So anyways, all of those, what ended up happening at the end of that, instead of a book, it became a community, and that community became Soaring Spirits International. It is a space where we offer community connections, where people have that opportunity to find a person who uniquely may understand some part of their death experience, some part of the way they live their life, some part of their, whether they're the same age or they have the same number of kids. There's just so many different ways for people to connect. And the intention behind Soaring Spirits is to provide a peer community so that we can walk together through the ups and downs that widowed life presents. And you hear so often people say, widowed people specifically, they can be in a room and it feels like they're the only one. Even though there's a room full of people, they feel very alone because their person's not there, because so many other people are partnered, because people struggle to know exactly what to say to them and whether to approach them, not approach them. I call it my bubble. I had a protective bubble where people wouldn't get any too close to me for fear that I might burst into tears or some other uncomfortable thing. But that bubble keeps people out. And so the work of Soaring Spirits is to bring people in and populate that space.
Let me pull up the website. You can tell us a little bit about this, an amazing amount of resources on your website.
Well, if you would, let's start quickly with Festival of Hope. So if you scroll through those front pages, we'll come back to it.
Okay. I'm on the Festival of Hope site.
Excellent. Perfect. So the Festival of Hope is an 18-week program that we just started. It's open to any person. You don't have to be widowed. You don't have to be grieving. You could just be a person who really would like to access a community of hope through the end of what has been an unprecedented year. And the Festival of Hope is going on right now. It is something to share with people the year-end rituals that are going to be impacted by the different ways that we're living our life right now during this pandemic. And the outreach for Soaring Spirits is always about how can we support our community? What can we give them to have another resource? And this Festival of Hope 18-week program through the end of the year that's going to focus on getting to know rituals of all sorts, what they mean. We're going to have live entertainment. We're going to have Zoom calls. There's a lot there. So I wanted to mention that first so that your community would be aware that it is welcome to anyone. Take a look at the website. It gives you an explanation of everything that you would need to know about how to join, but it's free, and doesn't matter that it started today or actually started yesterday. You can catch up anytime, so please do feel free to take a look at that. Then the next thing, if you would click on programs, that will give people a sense of the variety of programs that we offer. So this little tiny idea that began with me saying I've met 30 people and I feel like those 30 people should meet, but how would I do that? Okay, let's just have anyone who's widowed, has turned into over 3 million people connecting through the Soaring Spirits programs over the last 12 years.
Wow.
And the programs you're showing them there are the ways that they can connect. So that's our Camp Widow events, which is a weekend long. I tell people it's a blend between a conference, a retreat, and a reunion with your best friends. So we kind of blend all of those pieces together. And this year we are doing virtual camps because our in-person events have not been possible. And we're hoping to begin our in-person events in 2021 as the situation wherever we're holding our events allows. So Camp Widow is one of our options. Widowed Village is another option. Our Widowed Village is about to relaunch in 2 weeks as a huge resource center. So right now, it's just a forum that allows people to connect within it. I say just, but it has been life-saving for the people who have connected through the Widowed Village program. Right now, what you'll see is kind of a dated, older look of a forum, which is morphing in 2 weeks to a full resource center for widowed people. So I am super excited about that. And hopefully when we talk next week, we'll be closer and closer to launch. I'll be able to tell you a little more about that. But one thing that's maybe particularly important to look at, if you would, Dave, is on Newly Widowed. If we could go to that Newly Widowed packet link.
Okay, let me go back.
So one of the things that we do is a newly widowed person can come on our website and request a packet of information that would help them get connected to our programs. But not only does it help them get connected to our programs, it also provides them with a little booklet. It's 12 pages, I think, of quotes from other widowed people. And I've had people tell me that they keep that book by their bedside. And when they feel like they can't do this widow thing for another day, they read that book and they read the comments from other widowed people, letting them know that other people have made it through, that it is possible. And there's proof of it right there in the quotes that sit on their bedside. So these packets are free to the person who orders them. They cost the organization about $5 a packet. The reason we mail them is because in your early widowhood in particular, there's a sense of overwhelm, too much information, too much stuff that needs to be managed, and then you add the intense feelings, that early grief to that, and you can't remember where somebody put that website. And so we make it a packet so that it's something that can rise to the top of the mail, that you maybe haven't gotten to yet or might fall off the table onto your feet at some point. So these packets, we've been sending about 200 of them out, somewhere between 200 and 500 of them out per month. And so to answer the question for any of you who may think, oh, I know somebody who's newly widowed that might benefit from that, we don't send these unsolicited. So what we would ask you to do is request the packet for yourself, let us know that you're getting it for a friend, and then you deliver it in whatever way you want. You can drop it on their porch, put it in their mailbox, send it to them in the mail, but then at least they know it's coming from you, Dave, and they're not thinking some crazy organization got my information and suddenly they know I'm widowed, because it's creepy. It's creepy. So we don't want anyone to feel that, they didn't ask for this information and it's arrived. So we don't send them unsolicited, which means you can't say to me, Michelle, could you please send it to my friend? But I'd be happy to send one to you to then send to your friend. Then they know it's coming from a trusted source. It's coming from someone who cares about them. And that's the reason they're getting this packet.
Wow.
So that program, it really began because people were saying, I don't know what to give someone to tell them about you. And so it started out as a business card. We made business cards, and then the business cards didn't have quite enough information. And then we realized, wouldn't it be nice if they could have a letter from a widowed person and then a packet? And so now they're a full packet of information that really is intended to be proof, physical proof that you can hold in your hands that you're not alone. There are other widowed people, and if you want to find them, this is a way you can do it.
Wow. So I'm looking at your numbers here.
Yep.
4 million people reached, 70 regional groups, 10,000 newly widowed packets delivered annually. That, Michelle, I got to tell you, that just, wow, that makes me verklempt. I mean, it's like, that is just so amazing. 20,000 outreach cards delivered annually free of charge. I can't even tell you how amazing that is. Yeah.
Well, it's a gift to be able to offer this to other widowed people. It's what I want. I'm standing there at my, at the feet of my husband, thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to survive this? I wanted other widowed people to reassure me that it was possible, and to kind of, just say, we're over here. I remember thinking, if only they could walk around with a W on their heads. Like, I know there's other widowed people in the world, but I have no idea where to find them. And I'm really proud to say that since that time, there's been organizations of all sorts that have popped up, and that the internet and social media has allowed us with so many different ways to connect with other grieving people. It's a whole different world than it was when my husband died 15 years ago. 15 years ago, trying to find someone was trying to find the right website, and that website hopefully would lead you to a a group of people that you might be able to connect with. And it was not something that was intuitive as today. So Soaring Spirits sort of was born right at the time when social media started becoming a thing. And so we were able to morph that energy into an organization that has this broad that way. And so this kind of virtual connection that we're now really embracing in a new way with COVID-19, changing our world, it has been really just so fulfilling to know that those virtual connections can still be life-saving, that we don't have to necessarily be in person to be able to know that we're not alone. And I know that because we've been doing it for 12 years, and all 12 of those years people have been connecting through virtual means and really having significant and meaningful relationships built, and support networks. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I am endlessly grateful for the crazy idea I had to meet all of these widowed people. They changed my life. Wow. And I wanted the other people to have that opportunity. I wanted them to have the kind of relationships that had changed my life. So it's a blessing and a pleasure to do this work, and to be able to offer it to other people is humbling in a way that I've never experienced really in my life.
Wow. So you use the word we a lot. We do this, we do that. Tell us how it went from Michelle, widowed, can't find resources, talking with other widowed people, to this amazing organization, millions of people, volunteers, incredible work all around the world. That's a big leap.
Yeah, it is. And I will say that the leap has been incremental. So any of you who are working on any kind of dream, just remember that it happens in fits and starts and steps. But I'll tell you what, the thing that has cemented this organization is this connection that is so powerful between widowed people that they want that opportunity for others. They're willing to share their story, and they're willing to connect with other people because they're desperate to know that they're not the only one. And that has led to meaningful connections where people then say, I want to help someone else. And one of the things that's incredible about the Camp Widow experience is that we have a 40% return rate. So 40% of the people who attend, and usually we have somewhere between 400 and 250 to 400 people at any given event, depending on which city it's in. And 40% of those consistently, since the beginning, have been return campers. Wow. And they come back partly because they're in a new place and they have new things they need to consider and new resources that they need, but in large part because they want the opportunity to be there for the next wave of people. Wow. And it's the reason why we have so many volunteers. It's the reason why so many packets have been handed out, so many cards have been handed out. It's the reason why our work can exist. They have generously donated to support our programs. They have shared their stories. They have recruited their families. They have really, because they want the opportunity to provide the next widowed person with the connections that were life-saving for them. Wow. And that's where the we is. The we is this huge community of people. I can call on them anytime. Just as a small example, we had a widowed person who was pregnant at the time that her husband died. And a hospice worker reached out to us and said, I don't know what to do for this lady. She was touched herself. She was so just distraught for this young woman. And she said, is there anything you can do? And I said, I can connect her with another person who was widowed at the time they were pregnant. And that vital connection helped her birth her child. Wow. Without her partner physically present. And all I have to do is say to them, hey, I have another pregnant widow. And they line up. I'll help, I'll help, I'll help, I'll help. And it's incredible to witness. And it's such a beautiful, caring community. That's the most diverse community I've ever been a part of. Death doesn't discriminate. And so we've got people from every walk of life. And when you see them sitting side by side and you think, wow, I would never imagine those two people, would have the kind of connection they have. And yet here they are talking away because they have this one thing in common, and it could be how their person died or when, or a completely different thing. But here they sit side by side because this community is so big and diverse that we have the opportunity to meet people we'd never meet, and we have the opportunity to provide support and love. And it really is. It's inspiring.
Wow. That's just absolutely amazing. And if you're watching this and you want to access some of those resources, you can go on the website and do that. Also on the website, there is a donate button. So you can do two things. You can help this program move forward in a real and intentional way, as well as accessing resources for yourself and for people that you love. Yeah, it's just amazing. Listen, I'm going to need to let you go real quick here, but roll back to the Festival of Hope and go over that, because that's why you're leaving, because Festival of Hope.
That's why I'm leaving. But I'm looking forward to coming back.
Exactly.
Yes, the Festival of Hope, the intention is to walk with people through all of the year-end rituals ahead.
Yes.
So we're starting today. This week is the week of Rosh Hashanah, and we will be carrying all the way through to the first week of January, Three Kings Day. So we're going to include Canadian Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Diwali. We have a beautiful Hawaiian tradition we're going to be honoring. We're going to do the fall equinox, the winter solstice, like everything you can think of, Halloween, Dias de los Muertos. We're going to be looking at all of these and just asking the question, what meaning does this have? And what can we take from it? So as a community, we're going to need some lightness, some hope as we walk through the end of this year. And that's the design of the Festival of Hope. Get to know the other rituals that maybe you didn't know anything about, and also celebrate the rituals that mean something to you personally, part of your regular history. As I was saying to you when we first talked about this, the whole concept for the Festival of Hope came to me when I realized this may be the first Thanksgiving in my adult life that I'm not sitting at a table with my 30-person family. And when I realized that, I thought, there's so many other people who are going to be impacted in 100 different ways.
Yes. And
what can we do to serve? And so this Festival of Hope is Soaring Spirits' gift to not only our grieving community, but our global community, and our intention is to support as many people as possible. So right now we have about 450 people participating. We have room for as many as we want, and it doesn't matter if you've missed something. You can sign up at any time. You can access all of the information that's going to be shared, is going to be stored in a library on our website, so you'll be able to backtrack if you need to backtrack. But we're really looking forward to providing some lightness, as well as some education about things that you maybe have never heard of before, and then walking with our community through the rituals that matter. Because ultimately, it's the people, right? It's always the people that matter, and the people we love, and the people we miss, and the people we, are blessed to have in our lives. That's really the primary focus, right?
So this is every Monday night at 4:30 Pacific, and they need to go on the website.
They do need to go to the website to register. We'll have something every single day. You do not have to participate, like show up for school. You can take a look at it at any time that makes sense for you. The intention is to provide you with some kind of connection with the Festival of Hope every day, so that you've got some kind of hopeful content every day. You'll be directed as to where to find it. We'll be sharing it through all our social media feeds. If all you did was follow us on social media, you'd see a good amount of it. But we will have a private Zoom call for all of our participants, and they're going to be a variety of cool things, including a chant. We're going to have chanting with that, with our Hawaiian ritual. We'll have Christmas caroling. We're going to do a whole Christmas caroling thing. This week we're doing apples and honey, which is a part of the ritual of Rosh Hashanah. So it's going to be a cornucopia of interesting things to happen on that Zoom call. So again, registration is free. All you have to do is sign up through the website. It's very easy. Register and you're set to go.
Wow. All right. Well, you've got some friends watching the show tonight. Beth May says hi. Kelly Lynn says hi.
Hi, Kelly Lynn. Beth. Good to see you all.
Judy Kahn says Mele Kalikimaka.
Yeah. Very nice. Thank you for showing up, friends. And I love that you Kelly Lynn is the way we found each other.
Yes. That's what I understand. Yeah. So, all right, I need to let you go. Festival of Hope every single night for the next 40 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be quite an experience. Please join us if you're able. We'd love to have you. And Dave, I love having this time with you. Thank you so much for your flexibility with my crazy schedule, and also for being the kind of person you are in the world, because we need more people like you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind. And you're coming back next week?
Yes, I'll look forward to it.
Yes, we'll talk more about some transitions in your life. We'll talk about finding hope. We'll talk about dealing with grief. We'll talk about supporting grieving people. We'll talk about the fact that you guys deal not just with women, but women and men in the widowed community. So there's lots for us to talk about. You just, incredible. I can't even tell you what I feel in my heart right now. Just so much appreciation, so much joy. So I'll let you go so that you can bop over to your next video call, and I look forward to chatting with you next week.
All right. I appreciate it. All right, take good care, and thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
All right, blessings. Bye now. Oh, what an amazing, amazing show. Thank you, Michelle. Just so generous with your time, with your heart. So I just really want to encourage you to feel free to share this live on all of your social media platforms, and you'll be able to find this on the Facebook Live, on the Facebook page for Grief and Grace, as well as on YouTube, where all of our conversations are archived on the Grief and Grace YouTube page, and you'll be able to share that from there. And I can't even tell you how much I'm looking forward to being with Michelle again next week. Don't forget, you can go on to the website, soaringspirits.org, and you can find all of the information there about the Festival of Hope. Please take advantage of that incredible opportunity and all of the hope. Thank you all who joined us tonight, and we'll see you again next Monday. Stay safe, everybody.